Hello. How are you guys?
Good. How are you?
Good to see you all. It's my last time here, I think.
No, this isn't the last time we see you. This is the last time we see you.
You might be right.
What does that mean?
I have some other projects cooking.
Good.
So we'll see. I'm working on taking a break though.
Are you going to stay in this genre?
Very likely. We shot a pilot for Let the Right One In. Didn't work out with TNT, but it looks like it may be working out with another network. So we'll see. And also, I still have War of the Worlds with MTV that we're working on, which will be really fun.
Will you be repeating working with any of our Teen Wolf actors?
I hope so. I want to hire everyone again. If Ryan Murphy can do it, why can't I? So,
nice.
Yeah.
So how did you approach who you were going to bring back for the final season? Because obviously we see some people that left and are now returning. Were there people that you tried to get that couldn't come back, or how did you go off the story?
There were one or two. Some of it was how many can I fit in? I'll tell you, writing the finale was a challenge because there's like 20-something main characters, and it's giving everyone their moment. I wanted Daniel Sharman back in, but he was off shooting Fear the Walking Dead. Daniel and I had been texting a lot and talking about possibility of coming back, but he's the one I regret not getting back. There are, of course, other characters that I would love to have brought back, but it's kind of still has to be dictated by the story. Otherwise, it feels like you're just shoving everyone in for a cameo.
So what's the overall arc then of the
last season?
Yeah, that you're allowed to share anyway.
It's about fear, and it's about Scott and his friends becoming pariahs again in Beacon Hills. It's about, it's a little bit of a, not a metaphor, analogy is the right word, for the current goings-on, about being an outsider, about feeling left out, or about feeling sort of as though you're the world is against you. So that's kind of how they are. It's the rise of new hunters, and it's about a creature that preys upon you and preys upon fear. So.
Did you always want to end the series this way, or has it over the years?
It's changed. I thought this show was over season 5. That was meant to be a series finale in a way, but then the network said you got to do more. And I said, how many more? And they said 20. And I was like, oh God. And then it was working around schedules for certain actors, like Dylan O'Brien. We knew he had a film schedule to do, so we knew we weren't going to get him as a series regular for the whole thing. And I'd had this idea about doing a season where everyone forgets Styles, and then this last season sort of came about naturally in thinking about Scott and going back to the main character of Scott, and what is it like for him to finally say goodbye to Beacon Hills and to leave it, which is sort of my own goodbye to Beacon Hills, and what was it like to do that.
So one of the great things that I personally love about Teen Wolf is that how every season always had like a different theme, a different mythology.
Yeah.
Just as a writer, how do you decide like which mythology you want to go with, what new stories you're going to bring in, and how that tied into writing your final season?
It comes out of you first as a writer, you have to ask yourself, what do you want to say? And as the election was happening, and you could see it across the world, the country becoming more and more fearful of the outsider. It just seemed like, I remember when I sat down with the writers and I said, I've been working on this idea, tell me what you guys think of this, and then it just branched out from there. And it's really, because in season 5, we had the moments of where people see Scott, and they see what he is. They've seen him. They know. It's not just rumors anymore, and it's not just people saying things and nobody believing. Everybody kind of knows, and it was branched out of that idea. What if they know, and what if they become afraid of him? And what if they become pariahs again? So it kind of branched out from there. So we'll see.
So do you think with the finale everything comes full circle, or do you think there'll still be questions that you have?
You know, it's hard to do a show that's serialized and has this much mythology and not leave questions. Like, I still have a lot of questions about Lost. Like, well, what was that? And what was this? So it's really hard to do that. So there will always be lingering questions because there's so much raised. But for me, the characters come full circle. The last episode, the final scene, was something I'd been thinking about for a while. And I feel like when I watched it with temp music and our first cut of it, it felt right. So hopefully it feels right to the fans.
Would you like to revisit these characters sometime in the future? Like come back to just a one-off project?
Well, if you read The Hollywood Reporter, MTV would like to see that. Talking about...
How about you? Yeah, right.
You know, I'm still so close to it that the idea of a reboot is kind of like... sounds like a lot of work right now, but there are some lingering threads in the last season that we can easily revisit, and I think the new president of MTV, Chris McCarthy, he's got a great vision for how to reestablish the brand. So if Teen Wolf can be part of that, that's great. And we are talking about doing this podcast, which could be really fun as well. So we'll see how that turns out.
Back at seasons now, who was your favorite Big Bad? And was there a Big Bad that you wanted to take more with?
Say one of my, it's hard to pick favorites, but Nogitsune was, when Aaron Hendry came in to play the bandaged man, I absolutely loved him. That's one of my personal favorites. Peter, who's no longer a big bad, was a great villain in the first season. He was the original alpha. It's hard to pick favorites, but I love them. You know, I'm proud. One of the things I'm most proud of is our villains, our sort of rogues gallery. They feel sort of weirdly iconic now. Berserkers, Nogitsune, the Oni. I mean, the Oni is a Japanese demon, but if you Google it now, my Oni come up. I'm like, that's awesome. So.
Well, we see that Derek is coming back, so I think a lot of people want to know, are we going to get more of the banter between him and Styles that was so electric, and everybody always loved like how funny it was, like when they're arguing and bickering with each other. Yeah,
that was one of the things I was looking forward to writing in the last episode, was the return of Styles and Derek together. So, and they're bickering, and they have great comedic chemistry, those two characters. And they love playing it too. Yeah. So you will see that, yes.
What are you hoping that the show's legacy will be?
I hope that people remember it with fondness. I hope that that people say, "Oh yeah, Teen Wolf. I used to love that show. That was a great show, and it was one of my favorite shows when I was growing up." I mean, that's how I feel about the X-Files. I didn't watch every season of the X-Files. I didn't even see the last movie, but that was a seminal show for me. I hope people feel that way about it, like I feel about my favorite shows.
So you said in the panel yesterday, that you never expected for the show to reach 100 episodes.
No, I thought 5 seasons, maybe 60 episodes would be an amazing run. 100 episodes, I'm shocked I survived it.
Well, at what point did you realize, like, oh wow, like this show has really taken off, like this is the real deal?
3rd season, when we didn't have a lead-in, and our ratings did better than ever, even as the industry had already started transitioning from Nielsen ratings to streaming numbers. It's funny because I thought, okay, we didn't have the MTV Movie Awards premiering before us, and we still did really good ratings, and then it was coming here, and our first time in Ballroom 20, where we had 2,000 something people, or 3,000 is in Ballroom 20, I think. And I remember the moderator, Jarrett Wiseman from BuzzFeed, turns to me, he's like, there are a lot of people out there. He's like, I've never done this. I said, neither have I. And we walked on stage and everybody screamed, and I was like, wow, people really do like the show. So it was around season 3. Yeah, that was also the hardest I've ever worked in my life, doing those 24 episodes. So I put my heart and soul into that season.
We're talking about this now. For someone like you with social media, now your face is kind of out there too. So do you have the same situations happening where people walk up to you randomly and
they do.
And start talking to you about the show?
It's a little strange because I'll be somewhere and I'll just be doing whatever normal thing I'm doing, and some teenage girl will do this. And I'll kind of smile and be like, hi. It's a little bizarre to get recognized. So.
Does it happen often?
No, not that often. No.
Probably more so at Comic-Con.
Yes, a lot more, much more so. It's at airports sometimes they'll recognize me, and someone's mother will come up and say, can my daughter take a picture with you? And there'll be some nervous girl standing off in the distance, and I'll be like, absolutely. So it's very flattering, especially for a writer.
Do you have a favorite episode?
I put a lot of love into the finales. I would say, God, I love both 312 and 324, those finales. 312, the one where Scott becomes a true alpha and his eyes change, and that episode was so hard to shoot. We were doing 3 units at a time, trying to make it amazing. 324 because I loved the fruition of all the coming together of this, the Void Styles storyline and facing the Nogitsune, and I love those episodes. But there are a couple. It's hard to pick. I also love 501 because of the moment that Scott writes Allison's initials in the library. It's hard to kill a character off, but then you get to do moments like that, which are extremely meaningful. So it's funny, people ask me, would you go back and do Allison's death the same way? I don't know, but then I wouldn't have gotten that scene if we hadn't, and I really like that scene. And it's also a way of showing how teenagers can deal with death and not just be sad about it, but memorialize a friend who meant something to them. So I can't say I have a favorite. Yeah.
The main characters over the years. Which character has more personal qualities that you
You know, it's funny. Styles has a lot of my sense of humor. I would write Styles' voice. People would tell me they hear my voice in Styles, but Peter has a lot of my cynicism. I would say he's very close to my voice as well. Scott is the kind of person I wish I could be. So.
How do you write the parents on the show? Like, one of the things I love most about Teen Wolf is that the teens actually have parents that are involved in their lives.
Yeah. That was a big question, actually, when we first started the show, because we were trying to negotiate the cast salaries, and the network asked me, well, how much are the parents really going to be in the show? Shouldn't we just book them for like 3 episodes? And I said, no, they're going to be important. They have to be important. Because it went back to, do you remember the first Nightmare on Elm Street? Where the dad's just a bumbling idiot, and he's like, they're useless. I didn't want useless parents. I wanted them to be more like the adults in Harry Potter, who were allies. That's how I wrote them, as allies. And I kind of based them on, like Melissa's completely based on my own mother, even down to words that are similar that she's spoken to me. But Stilinski was just a fun way of exploring this father-son relationship. I mean, Lyndon was just as important in creating that character as I was in writing his dialogue. So,
Thank you.
all right, thanks, guys. Nice to see you all.